Listen up. Before you scroll, you might be about to open your bank app and feel it. Less money than you expected. This isn't inflation spreading quietly. This is your Social Security check, the check you depend on, being reshaped for January 2026. Maybe you're retired. Maybe you help care for elderly parents. Maybe you have a disability, and that check keeps food on the table, gas in the car, and lights on in your home. But something changed. Not just a date, not just a dollar here or there, a domino set of changes that could mean early checks, delayed payments, surprise deposits, or even your next check arriving on a totally different schedule. If you've been feeling the squeeze of higher prices every time you go to the grocery store, you're not alone. And today's update touches your wallet, your budget, and your peace of mind. Stick with me, because if you're on Social Security or SSI, this affects you big time. Hook complete? Let's break it down. Here's the heart of it. January 2026 isn't just another month for Social Security, it's a month of reset. The Social Security Administration, SSA, has implemented a cost of living adjustment, COLA, and calendar schedule changes that are shaking up how your payments arrive. Social Security matters, +1. That's right. A COLA needs to help because prices have risen, but many people feel these increases barely cover a tank of gas, let alone the bills piling up at home. At the same time, the payment dates are shifting, meaning some people are getting their checks earlier, some later, and in rare cases, some months might not even have a payment arrive. The sun. It's confusing. It's frustrating. And if you count on that check for rent, utilities, or prescriptions, that confusion translates into real anxiety and real financial pain. But we will walk through it step by step. Here's the simplest way to think about it. COLA is the government's way of saying prices went up, so your benefits go up too. For 2026, the SSA confirmed a 2.8% COLA increase, which means the average Social Security benefit will be about $56 more per month starting in January. Social Security matters. Sounds good, until you realize that in many major cities, $56 barely covers a tank of gas or 2 weeks of groceries. And for couples, the bump might be a little higher, around $88 extra per month. Social Security matters. For people on Supplemental Security Income, SSI, a program for seniors, blind, or disabled Americans with limited income, that COLA increase means their monthly amounts go up too. But because January 1st was a federal holiday, those checks came early, on December 31st, 2025. The Economic Times. So yes, you get more money. But timing quirks and rising living costs are making those extra dollars feel smaller than expected. On to the impact, because this is where it gets real. Here's where the emotional stakes kick in. That extra $56 isn't a windfall. For many, it's what keeps the lights on, the rent paid, and the prescriptions filled. And because rent, food, and healthcare costs have already jumped, this increase hardly moves the needle. But the confusion goes deeper than amounts. Payment timing changes have created real stress. Some people received payments early. Some are waiting longer than usual. Some months, yes, may not have a check at all because of how SSI payments fall around holidays and weekends. The sun. This means groceries might get delayed, bills could bounce, pop-up overdraft fees become real. And that's not scare tactic stuff. That's what millions of Americans are living right now. For households already stretched thin, even a small shift in timing feels like a punch to the gut. Okay, let's break this down in plain language. Social Security payments aren't sent on the same date for everyone anymore. They're tied to your birth date. Born 1st 10th, payment on 2nd Wednesday of the month. Born 11th 20th, 3rd Wednesday. Born 21st 31st, 4th Wednesday. That's the new normal, the sun. In January 2026, checks went out on Jan 14, birthdays 1 to 10, Jan 21, 11 to 20, Jan 28, 21 to 31. And here's the twist. SSI recipients got theirs early on Dec 31, 2025, because January 1st was a holiday, the Economic Times. Then, because February 1st fell on a Sunday, another SSI payment arrived on Jan 30, which means some people saw 3 SSI deposits in just 2 months. The Sun. No, that's not extra money. It's just timing quirks. But if your rent is due on the 1st, it matters. Here's one of the weirdest parts of this update. SSI checks didn't stick to the first day of the month rule in January because January 1st was a federal holiday. Payments were released before the date they would normally hit. The Economic Times. What does that mean? SSI beneficiaries saw a DEC 1 payment for December, a DEC 31 payment for January, and another on Jan 30 for February. The Sun. That adds up to 3 payments in a short period, which sounds amazing, until you realize none of those payments add more money overall. They're simply scheduled early or late because of how weekends and holidays fall on the calendar. So if you're thinking, hey, 3 checks, bonus, pause. This is barely a timing quirk, not a true payment increase, and it can actually make budgeting tougher because you might not get a payment when you expect it next month. Here's the reality. The COLA increase feels small, and payment schedule quirks feel chaotic. Some beneficiaries have spoken out that the 2.8% rise doesn't match the real inflation they face, especially healthcare, housing, and prescription costs. New York Post. And that matters. Because if your medical bills climb faster than your benefits, you lose ground every month. Not to mention, for millions, even a small delay in payment is a crisis. One day without funds can mean skipping groceries, missing a prescription refill, or a late utility bill. There's another twist here. Medicare Part B premiums are rising too, meaning more healthcare costs might come out of your Social Security check before you even get it. Market Watch. That means the extra $56 you get from the COLA could be partly offset by higher Medicare costs, so your bank account might not feel as full as you hoped. This is a critical reality check. The headline number looks good. The reality for your monthly budget could be less, and that's why millions are saying, this still isn't enough. It's confusing, but here's the plain breakdown. Social Security checks are now aligned with birth date windows to spread processing out. The Sun. SSI checks are supposed to be on the 1st of the month, but holidays bump them earlier. The Economic Times. If the date falls on a weekend or federal holiday, the check arrives on the previous business day. Kiplinger. That's why December 31st, 2025 was technically your January SSI check, and January 30th, 2026 was your February SSI, even though the official date was February 1st. This matters for people who pay bills on the 1st, because you might not get the check when you planned for it. Here's the breakdown. Retired workers. Benefit increased about $56 per month on average. Social Security matters. Married couples, around $88 extra per month. Social Security matters SSI individuals, payment rises to around $994. The Economic Times SSI couples, around $1,491. The Sun maximum benefits at age 70 rise from about $5,108 to $5,251. The Sun. But here's the truth. Even these higher numbers can still feel small when groceries cost hundreds of dollars each week, rent is due, and bills keep coming. One of the most confusing parts of the January change is how some months end up with extra SSI payments, while others might have none. The Sun. Because SSI typically pays on the 1st, if that day falls on a weekend or holiday, the payment comes earlier. That's why January and July may have 2 payments, while March, August, and November might have none. That doesn't mean you lost money. It just rearranges when it hits your account. But rearranging money is exactly what impacts your bills and your budget. Timing matters. Let's recap simply. Your Social Security benefit did go up for 2026, but many feel the increase is too small. Social Security matters SSI payments arrived early in December because of a holiday. The Economic Times payment dates are now tied to birth dates. The Sun. Medicare premiums are also rising, potentially eating into that increase. Market Watch payment timing quirks are causing confusion and real financial stress. Here's the unexpected part. Some people are worried about getting less than they expected, not because the benefit amount is smaller, but because of when it hits their account. Anecdotal reports from beneficiaries show people checking their accounts expecting a check on a normal date and finding it was already paid early or scheduled later. Reddit. That can be terrifying when rent is due, or groceries need to be bought, or prescriptions have to be filled. Your money feels smaller when the timing is unpredictable. That's the twist. This isn't just about the amount. It's about predictability and budgeting. Here's what you must do now. Check your Social Security account online via My Social Security. It shows exact payment amounts and dates. Kiplinger set banking alerts so you know when that deposit lands. Plan bills around confirmed dates, not assumed ones. Talk to a financial advisor if healthcare premiums or scheduling quirks are making budgeting impossible. This isn't optional. This is about control. When your wallet feels uncertain, you lose peace of mind. Knowledge is power, and this update is full of details you need to manage your money wisely. So, here's the honest truth. Social Security didn't disappear. Your checks didn't suddenly vanish, but 2026 is different. Payment schedules shifted, benefit amounts changed, healthcare costs are rising, and timing matters. And most importantly, you deserve a plan, not confusion. If any of this left you feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, or unsure, you're not alone. Millions of Americans are asking the same questions. But now you understand what changed, and more importantly, why it matters to your family, your rent, your groceries, and your peace of mind. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next update, because these rules keep evolving and your financial future is worth staying informed. Comment below with your payment date or what confused you most. We'll break it down together. Stay alert, stay empowered. Your money matters.